If you want to show us some love, donate at rubydaytv.com, the home of all my exclusives. And don't forget to leave the show a rating or a review. Thanks to Tantallee for sponsoring today's episode. With a wide range of high-quality companion dolls to fit any taste. Use code RubyDay to get 12% off your purchase. You'll be amazed at how real they feel. What's really the reality of threesomes that no one ever talks about? I know I am insanely curious about that because I've got a plethora of that information for you. On this episode of Love Shot, I'm Ruby.
And I'm Olivia.
Oh my gosh.
Threesomes.
Oh my gosh. The shit nobody talks about threesomes.
Have you had
the
lot?
Things they don't tell you. And boy, are there things they don't tell you.
Yeah. Would you say you've had a lot of threesomes in your life?
I don't know what a lot, and I use air quotes, what a lot is.
Yeah.
I've had a fair share of them.
Yeah, me too.
I think there's always encounters that you can have.
Right.
That are new because each instance has different people.
Oh, yeah, they're very different.
Very different experiences. But one of the things that I found in having threesomes that no one talked to me about before was how easy it is for someone not to feel like they're getting enough attention.
Oh, yeah.
How easy it
comes
is.
up.
And the fact that when that does happen, what the tendencies of people in threesomes will do when they don't feel like they're getting enough attention. You're lucky if they actually speak up and say, hey, I'd like some more attention. You're lucky if that happens.
Yeah.
But my experience has been that is not the way it goes down at all. Typically, when somebody doesn't feel like they're getting enough attention or they're feeling like the third wheel.
Yeah.
That is a real reality that nobody talks about with threesomes. But typically, my experience has been when they don't feel like they're getting enough attention, they disengage.
Yeah.
They go into another room. You're in the thrall with the other person. And all of a sudden, you look up to take a breath, and that third party's not there, and you're like, where the fuck they go?
That always freaks me out. That's the moment
I get
go,
concerned.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. I'm like,
I'm like, hold on a minute. Let's go find so-and-so. Let's see what's going on. Let's check in with them.
Make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, because that slight panic sets in for me.
I'm going to call that drama. Because that's one thing I think people don't talk about. Everybody fantasizes about threesomes and like, oh, it's going to be this amazing sexual experience. And even though it can be fun, and I've had my fair share of threesomes
it is
too.
Really fun.
It is
Don't
really
get it
fun
wrong.
when you find the chemistry amongst three people that it just grooves with, and everybody stays involved.
That's the other
key.
thing. Nobody talks about the fact that all three people need to have chemistry.
Yes.
With a threesome.
If you do not,
actually, a moresome, threesome, foursome, moresome, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just they don't talk about the fact of how
Important.
Everybody has to have something with all the people involved.
Yeah.
Some type of chemistry with them all. It can be different for each person. That's totally fine. But if you don't have chemistry, then it gets really fucking weird.
Well, it's like any relationship that's sexual. You know, it's going to get weird if there's no chemistry. I mean, it does. It just magnifies. And when you add more people, it just gets more magnified to either good or weird. And so that's very, very much something that you should definitely, check out the chemistry vibes with somebody that if you're going to get involved in a threesome. I've had good threesome experiences and I've had bad threesome experiences. And
and when they're bad, they're bad.
They're bad. Yeah, they're bad. And it's like, and I think that's what people don't talk about either is how it can go
ruins
south
the
real
whole
quick.
Mood.
Oh, it ruins the entire sexual experience. From in my experience, when something happens like that, I mean, I've been with couples before where the woman gets jealous, and no reason to. It's like her and I would play. Her and I would have all this playtime ahead of time. We'd make the guy watch, and then he would join in, and he would even have sex with her first if it was like it was her man, and I've joined, it's her man, so they have sex first, and then he has sex with me. But I've literally seen situations, I've been in situations that where as soon as after he has sex with me, She gets up, she gets uncomfortable, she's freaking out. She really wasn't comfortable with seeing her man have sex with another woman, and oh
And
my God, the jealousy streaks in, and they lose their mind, and
yeah,
that's like
but
a
the
bad
thing
event.
is you never know when that's going to happen until
No.
it just happens.
And you don't want to be
And
that third
sometimes
party.
you're that person
Yeah.
that you're like, okay, I'm not cool with seeing my
Yeah.
my partner with the other person. I
Right.
mean, it can happen on both sides, and
Well,
they don't
sure,
talk
but
about that.
I think, being the person who in most of my situations, I was the single lady coming into a couple and stuff like that. When and I definitely, I preface, especially with the other women, like I do not want to, step on anybody's toes. I don't want any
Yeah.
jealousy. I don't want any of this stuff. And I try to do everything possible in the courting phase of that threesome while they're doing it to make sure that doesn't happen. And you know what? It still is
It
not a
can still
foolproof.
happen.
Yeah, it still happens, and it has happened to me. Even when I thought I did all the right stuff, and we did all the right prep, we had all the right conversations, woman to woman, and it still happens. And
Yeah.
it's sometimes people aren't really ready if they haven't had those experiences. My advice on threesomes are. Uh, if you're someone who is experienced and you're trying to have a threesome with somebody who isn't, be very careful. Take it very slow.
No,
Um,
that means the responsibility lands on the person with more
Well, it
experience.
does, but you still have no control because when things go south, you just
No,
like
I
it's hey, you
I
can't really
get
do
it, but
anything. Yeah.
still, it kind of defaults to
Yeah.
whoever has the most
Well, in the vetting
experience.
process, where you're courting each other and trying to walk through it, and that's where I come in. And I've had that situation before where I've been with couples that hadn't had very many threesomes, or hell, I've even been with a couple who never had one before, and I was their first girl threesome, and I won't do that again. I will never do that again. That's not something I will be your first with. I had, you know, negative reactions that they just couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle seeing their partner with somebody, and so that's something you just you don't think about. Everybody thinks about the fantasy, the sex, the good sex. It's going to be great having extra hands and things and body parts, and it can be, but it's so complicated beyond that. It can be. It really comes down to the chemistry, the maturity, and the experience level of the people involved. At least that's been my experience with it all. And I'm going to say this. I used to in my youth. I loved threesomes, and I had a lot of threesomes in my 20s. And I always thought that, as a bisexual lady, I was like, this is the best of both worlds, and I really really loved them. And I really pursued finding couples that were into that type of thing, and even my own partner at times, we did that as well. We'd bring in a third. And I thought it was a real blast. Last year, I had an experience that really changed my perception of threesomes. And it was one of those situations where I did everything right. I tried, and I thought, and I vetted it and everything, and it went south with the woman. And it really broke my heart because I thought her and I were girlfriends. And it was a really, really heartbreaking thing because that's something else they don't talk about with threesomes. If you have relationships or friendships or bonds that are outside of the bedroom with these individuals that you have it, and if it does go south because for some reason they just couldn't handle it, even when everybody really thought they could, it ruins relationships. And in this situation, it not only ruined the relationship I had with my friend, but it it ended up ruining the relationship she had with her boyfriend, and they broke up from it. And it just seems absurd what happened because everything was safe, sane, and consensual. Everything was highly talked about, and we took it all very, very slow. We didn't just jump into the sack. We spent a long time talking about it. Um, Many months, her and I talking about it. We went on several dates all together, and it still just blew up. And it was a really, really sad situation to have happen, and it really, really broke my heart. And I think I had a change of opinion with how threesomes can be. And I think the other thing that they don't talk about, and this is the other thing that hit me with it after that happened, um, is there's only a certain type of intimacy that you can have in a threesome. And it's kind of a shared threesome, and there's always somebody where you're passing it out. And so you got to be very into multitasking. And it's like somebody's doing this and somebody's doing that. And so everybody's trying to rotate and get their turn for nobody's being left out. And so if you're doing it, if the chemistry's right, you're being able to do that as like a symbiotic relationship dynamic and it's all happening. But the reality is it's exhausting too. And nobody talks about that. And if you've had the experience with them, like I have, uh, and you see how they can go bad, and you see that it's not always that what it's not always just the amazing sexual fantasy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of juggling. It's a lot of management. You can people get hurt. There's a lot of drama that can happen. There's also it it just can change your sexual experience. And if something does go bad during the threesome, the entire sexual experience, even if you had a good part of sexual experience on the front end, it ruins it. Completely ruins the whole experience. And it ruins the intimacy of it. And so, it really comes down to having those experiences turn out good, but they don't always turn out good. And that's the thing. And I've been in situations, I've had things go south before, and you think, well, maybe the next one, maybe try it again, or even try it again. And I think the other thing is, if one ever goes bad with a dynamic of people,
don't do it again.
Do it again. Don't try to do a redo. You never should do that.
Just don't.
Yeah, nobody talks about that. It's like, well, that one didn't work. Let's try it again.
No.
Don't ever do that. That's just going to get it even worse. It just does. Yeah.
I found in my experiences that, they don't tell you about, this has been, let me back this up. I learned this after probably the second or third threesome I ever had.
Yeah.
Wasn't something that I was hit right off the bat with.
Right.
But, I wasn't aware that when you are in a threesome, that it's really important to keep everybody directly involved.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is it's really important to keep your hands on both people, your attention, or while one's doing one thing, you're doing something with the other one.
Yeah.
But keeping everybody involved at the same time. And that's where the juggling can come in.
And the exhaustion at some point.
For some people. Yeah. And it's not, I think the fantasy of a threesome is, hey, I found this couple or these two people to have a threesome with.
Yeah.
And I can just enjoy the experience. And I don't have to put any effort much into it. I don't have to be attentive. And that is so the misnomer. Because you actually have to be a little more attentive because you've got two people, not just one.
You do. Yeah.
And they don't talk about that.
You're right.
And so it's really important that even if one of the other parties isn't physically doing something, that you hold their hand or you caress their shoulder or you play with their hair, or while the other party's doing something maybe to you.
Yeah.
And I even found that to be essential that nobody talked about. That if even I was reciprocating to one of those other two people, that while I was with one of them, I always kept some physical contact with the third party.
Yeah.
And so it goes both ways, whether you're the one doing the action or having the action done to you, making sure that everybody is somehow physically connected in some way
'cause it's
the whole time. Now, I was one of those rare threesome people that I didn't have an issue with my partner or the other two people being with each other and me not being in the room.
Right, yeah.
Like, I was totally okay with it. Sometimes I was like, hey, I got an aspect of my fills, so you guys have fun. I'm going to go make a snack because I'm getting hungry, and I'm sure you all too.
Yeah.
So, but I would always let the other people know.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm totally cool with this. I'm going to go do this. I'll be back. You guys have fun doing the things that you like doing that maybe I'm not into.
Yeah.
And it was totally kosher that way, but I didn't just get up and
Well,
walk out of this
I think that's a
situation.
healthy way to have a threesome. I think it's great at times to have all three of you together and touching and stuff, but it is exhausting. It gets exhausting at
It
some point. And I
can.
think the key for me, my happiness with having a threesome is we can have that all three of us together touching and doing everything together moments, but I also want to have a moment of intimacy with each partner individually where the other partner, the other dynamic is okay stepping back
But
and
not
saying, hey, I'm okay for a second, but then we switch off and we rotate it out and then we can come back together at the end. And I think that's what I have
but
found I
not
like the best.
every
Yeah.
threesome situation is comfortable with that.
You're right. They're
I
not.
can't tell you. I think
They
I
are
can
not.
count
Yeah.
on one hand the amount of
Most of them
threesomes
are not.
that are that comfortable.
Right. And
My experience has been the
yeah.
majority of them, you
Yeah.
have to have everybody involved at the
All
same
the
time
time. Yeah.
because there's too much uncertainty
Yeah.
for the other people, or they've
Yeah.
got trust issues that maybe they weren't even
Yeah.
aware of.
And that right there, for those
Or
reasons, is why my opinion of threesomes is actually changing, because that just seems like an exhausting drama to me, because it is rare to find a couple, for me to find a couple who's that comfortable that they actually they understand that dichotomy and actually know how to have a healthy threesome and a healthy relationship with each other, and bringing a third party in and not making anybody feel weird, and realizing it's hard to find couples like that. It's
I
just
think
really,
it's
really
just
is.
hard to
Yeah.
find people who are that self-aware, that self-confident.
And nobody talks about
And
that.
yeah, and it's like the little
Yeah.
hidden thing that they don't tell you
Yeah.
you should be looking for when you pick people to have threesomes
Yeah.
with. But it is such a smack you in
Oh,
the
God.
face
It is.
reality of actually going and doing it.
And there's more.
And don't get
There's
me
more.
wrong. I mean, I've had threesomes with people that aren't that comfortable, but I understood that situation. So I understood that threesome interaction was going to require a certain type of interaction.
Right.
And that I
Yeah.
couldn't necessarily, it didn't allot for the one on one time necessarily. And I had to be in the mood and be okay
Yeah.
with that reality. But I know that came with some experience of being
Yeah.
able to deduce that down, acknowledge what may take place, and being okay with that being a potential, even getting into it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we should bring up that nobody seems to talk about is the red flags that you should be looking for, whether you're a single coming into a couple or you're a couple bringing in a single. And one of the big red flags for me
Drinking.
is yes, we nailed it. Is drinking, because if somebody is excessively drinking, that is
There's
a
an
sign
issue.
that they are not really ready for this.
Yeah.
Um,
And just mosey out of that
Yeah, you
situation
just-
politely and just be like, hey, I've even had instances where I've seen that, and me myself had gone to the couple and said, hey, I'm not sure I'm really ready for this tonight.
yeah.
Is that okay with you guys? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but it was
Yeah.
the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I noticed one of the other people seemed to have to be taking way too many shots
Yeah.
in order to build
Yeah.
themselves up to go do it.
That's a red flag.
And I'm not into that kind of
No,
scenario.
and you don't,
Because it can go wrong real
If
quick.
you got one or two doing it, and definitely all three, you shouldn't be doing it. If
No.
you're all doing it, you definitely shouldn't be doing it, because it shouldn't be done that way. There's nothing wrong with having a drink here and
Oh,
there or something like
no.
that and enjoying a cocktail. But the thing is if you do really have to get that
Know
loosened
your
up and
limit.
comfortable, if you have to get so inebriated in order to actually do it, you shouldn't be doing it. And that's
just a
the
good
reality.
caveat
Yeah.
for anything
Yeah.
with sexual engagement.
Yeah, but especially threesomes.
If you have to do
Oh,
drugs or drink to
yeah.
an excessive amount or enough to get tipsy or drunk, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Right. And I think the last thing that I can think of that people don't talk about with threesomes are, and as a single, being a single lady coming into a couple like myself, being aware that a lot of couples, the women do it for the men. They take one for the team. Because the man wants to have the experience, so the woman's
Yeah.
doing it. And you need to look for those signs with a woman who she's not just doing what her husband wants her to do, because that will blow up in your face. It'll blow up during the threesome.
Yep.
It'll blow up after the threesome. It'll just blow up, and it'll become a drama. It'll become a crisis in your life that you do not need. And you'll be looking back going, the pleasure that happened from that does not equate to the headache that it created. And
But
that's,
that can be hard to deduce in people because
it is, but you got to be,
people are really good at covering that up.
they are, but if you are aware of it,
the small little hints,
right?
Because there's always hindsight shows you that there were things you should have picked up on to slow it down.
But trust your instincts, trust
it's
your
like
senses.
if something's just not hitting right with you, it's okay to be like, hey, can we take a step back?
Right.
And be responsible in that way. I've even had situations like that I've actually made myself be the bad guy because they weren't aware of the fact that it needed to slow down. Or it needed to be postponed. So I've ended up setting myself up to be the bad guy because I was noticing these things and their lack of experience. It was like, hey, we need to just chill out a little bit. Let's take this a little slower.
Well, my best advice, I mean, I know it's not foolproof, but to be honest, don't go into a threesome naive. Realize that whether you're the single or whether you're the couple, go into it, it's like an interview process when you're doing that and trying to bring somebody in. But, a lot of couples, people do take things for the team. And I think as a single person coming into any couple relationship as a threesome, you need to have that in your mind in the forefront so that you even could be looking for it. Because if you don't, you're not going to pick up on the signs. You're definitely not going to pick up on the signs.
Well, but the other thing is being the single person coming into a threesome, it's really easy to take one for the couple.
Oh God,
which means
right.
they'll ask you to do things that maybe are a little outside of your scope, or you're not sure if you're really comfortable with doing that with those people.
Absolutely.
And you shouldn't take one for the team in that regard.
You're right.
And that means your team.
Yeah.
Don't take one for the couple.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to bode well with you either, and it's going to ruin the experience.
Yes. Yeah, and that does happen. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh my gosh, I've had that happen so many times. I've lost count.
Because I've had situations where it was like I was with this couple and we had all decided we're going to have safe sex. And in the middle of it, while we're all, the ladies, we fool around, but then the man, they're fooling around. And then all of a sudden, they decide they want to take off the condoms. And that wasn't what your comfort level was. That's not what you discussed.
Or you and the girl are on board with it, and the guy does his own damn thing.
Yeah, the guy does his own thing.
Not cool.
As the single person, you're going in there, they're really wanting it. The couple well, we've decided we really want it. And if you weren't comfortable with them taking the condom off, don't take one for the team as the whole. Be like, okay, I'll just let them do it, because you don't want to do that.
I think that's what they call peer pressure.
It is peer
can
pressure,
happen in threesomes, and they don't
lot,
talk about that at all, because the guy can pressure the girls.
Yeah.
I've even had the other woman pressure me to be with their partner, and I'm like, oh, this is screwed up.
I do not like pressure in threesomes, and you're right. That's another thing they don't talk about. Because
it's easy to have that kind of peer pressure because you've got two other people, and if they both want the same thing, but you're not quite in that same place with them, then it can put you in an uncomfortable situation to then have to be like, no. And not everybody's okay with dealing with those
or
types
you feel
of
like
scenarios.
you have to do it.
Because you're in it, you're naked, you were fooling around with them, you're like, well, I'm here, so...
Yeah. I think, and there's another thing, I guess I had another... There's so many things you can think of that they don't talk about. But other things that happens, like, especially with consensual sex and talking about safe sex and stuff like that, there's situations where you can be in threesomes where you can have all those discussions and those things can go right out the door, and everybody gets in the heat of passion. They just start doing their own thing, and
they get carried away with themselves.
And that can feel violating. It can be scary. It can be like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in those types of situations, that you just all of a sudden like, hey, I wasn't comfortable with that, and it just happened.
Or your
And
partner does
yeah,
something with the other
right.
person that you
You
weren't
aren't comfortable.
comfortable
Same
with,
thing. Yeah.
that you thought you'd had that discussion with your partner, and then you get in the moment and it's like they went one
Yeah.
total tangent.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, whoa, what's going on? We
Yeah.
talked about this. And then you're upset with your partner, and then that gets brought into the threesome.
Drama.
It can
Drama.
become really
Yeah.
sticky when it's not even that additional person's
Yeah.
fault, but it can end up making you feel like it's your fault,
Yeah.
or it's that additional person's fault. And
Yeah.
so, it's really easy to have those types of scenarios happen
Yeah.
that you end up feeling guilty, and then you end up taking one for the team because you feel guilty about something that had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens all the time.
Oh my God.
And being able to appropriate that so that it doesn't ruin the threesome
This experience,
interaction, the
yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
and being able to appropriate your own emotions so it doesn't ruin
Yeah.
the experience, and then having a discussion with your partner or the other people involved. That takes a lot of maturity
It does take a lot.
to be able to do that and
It
keep
takes-
yourself in check, and then not ruin the threesome experience for you or anyone else. But that's not to say you shouldn't speak up
Yeah.
in a threesome if something's going on that you're not comfortable with. Just make sure you do it in a non-aggressive way, so
Yeah.
that the other people
It's
or
just-
even yourself don't feel guilty for getting carried away or
Yeah.
forgetting conversations that took place. Because when you're in the heat of the moment,
Yeah.
all things
All
can
things
go
can
out
happen.
the window.
Yeah. All things can happen. And it's, as fun as they can be, I think
It's a lot of responsibility.
it's a lot of responsibility. Everybody has to be very mature in
Yeah.
order for them to be successful.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Or at the same
I'm
maturity
talking about-
level of
yeah,
everyone else.
Everybody else has to be at that, and that's just, I will say this, I've had a lot of great threesomes, but I've also had a handful of not great threesomes experiences, and it doesn't take too many not great threesome experiences that really can ruin the overall
Threesome
effect.
experience.
Yeah, it really, really does. Yeah, so
Just
true.
in general.
Yeah,
I've been fortunate enough, I've had more positive than not.
yeah,
But that sometimes is based off of my own reactions and not really the other people so
Right.
much. It's how I handled it, how I conducted myself, and how I voiced when I wasn't comfortable with certain interactions. That ended up allowing the experience, even if a misstep happened, to still be a positive experience for myself and everyone else.
Yeah, I've always tried to make sure I don't go into a threesome unless I can make it positive, for myself and everybody else. Like I always said, I want to leave everybody better
than you
them.
found them. And
that's my code for going into a threesome is if I don't feel like I can do that, I don't do it.
It's good advice.
If you want to show us some love, donate at rubydaytv.com, the home of all my exclusives. And don't forget to leave the show a rating or a review.